While the U.S. rolls back abortion rights,
Shame on you, killing babies! You're a murderer! You're a murderer! You're a murderer!
across some parts of Latin America, the opposite is happening.
Esta es una victoria histórica para las mujeres en el país.
So how did a conservative region with strong Catholic roots manage to increase abortion access? And is there anything U.S. activists can learn?
You can't get paralyzed because you don't have legal abortion. So you don't have to be paralyzed.
Let's get one thing straight. Abortion access across Latin America varies. Some countries ban abortion unless it's a result of rape or the pregnant woman's life is at risk. And a few countries have outlawed abortion in all cases with no exceptions, like El Salvador, where women have been jailed for miscarriages or stillborn births.
Our fight at this point of the story is characterized by a diversity and a variety of strategies that we are operating all together to move in any direction.
So, what are some strategies that activists in the region focused on in their fight for reproductive justice? The vital first step: organize, organize, organize. The groundwork for reproductive freedom began decades ago. This is partly because of a rich history of activist organizing across Latin America. Unlike the US, where a lot of focus is on whether or not courts find abortion bans unconstitutional, change in Latin American countries comes from the ground up.
We work together as a region, so we have like this tradition of exchanges, experiences, and even symbols.
Let's start in Argentina, a country with deep roots in Roman Catholicism. There, activists built up networks of organizers across the country. Leading the fight on the ground was a national campaign for the right to legal, safe, and free abortion. They're an umbrella group of dozens of individual organizations that sought to unify activists. And unity among activists was important because women weren't just facing restrictive abortion access, they were also facing unprecedented levels of femicide. In fact, at least 9 of the 25 countries with the highest femicide rates are in Latin America. Ni Una Menos began as a rallying call, not one less, referring to the crisis of gender violence in the country.
After Ni Una Menos, we had a kind of explosion. So we started to grow and grow and grow and grow.
Activists quickly recognized that fighting against femicide also meant fighting for abortion access.
At the beginning, I think we never imagined what was going to happen. Like we never imagined a massive mobilization.
And at the end of 2020, Argentina's Congress legalized abortion until 14 weeks of pregnancy. Next door, in more secular Uruguay, feminist groups partnered together with medical groups, community-based organizations, and trade unions.
Latin America is a region that has a long tradition of encuentros feministas, feminist encounters. And those encounters are like spaces and places where feminists from many different countries exchanges strategies.
But there's one big difference in how the US fought for abortion access and how Argentina and Uruguay did. Roe v. Wade was argued on the basis of a pregnant woman's right to privacy. So basically, a person's right to choose whether or not to have an abortion. But in both Uruguay and Argentina, activists say that argument alone was not persuasive enough.
We didn't convince people with the argument, my body, my choice.
And this is where the second lesson comes in. Viewing abortion bans as a public health crisis and not just a personal affair. Organizers focus on educating the Argentine public on the health issues at stake. For example, government figures estimated up to 500,000 abortions were happening each year before legalization in 2020. And complications from illegal and unsafe abortions was a leading cause of maternal mortality in the country. This was also the case in Uruguay, where unsafe abortion caused an estimated 40% of maternal deaths in 2000. Well before legalization, doctors in Montevideo began counseling pregnant women on how to manage medication abortion, the use of abortion pills.
Even though abortion was illegal, the woman that has an unwanted pregnancy was a citizen, and she has all the right to go to doctor or go to a midwife and have information.
Medication abortion is low risk and has a high success rate. Women could purchase the medicine themselves, and doctors counseled women with unplanned pregnancies on their options.
We have to empower women and give information.
In 2004, Uruguay's Ministry of Health formally adopted this harm reduction approach of using abortion pills before finally legalizing abortion in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy in 2012. Activists in the region have been working to get one message across: that banning abortions doesn't actually end the practice. It just ends safe abortions.
Because women are going to have an abortion, it doesn't matter what the, legal prohibitions are. And we know from the public health data that those abortions are going to be unsafe.
And this leads us to lesson 3, centering marginalized communities. This is where Colombia enters the picture. There, organizers focus on abortion access as a tool for equity.
We don't need the criminal law to regulate abortion, because the criminal law and the crime of abortion is unfair, is counterproductive, is discriminatory. So with regard to access, we made a huge emphasis on barriers. Women were facing barriers.
In 2017, Ana Cristina helped pioneer a movement called Causa Justa por el Aborto. The movement became a coalition that brought different reproductive justice organizations and activists together, some with over 40 years of experience to decriminalize abortion. Causa Justa filed a lawsuit with Colombia's constitutional court to remove abortion crime from the penal code. They argued that the people most harmed by an abortion ban were
the most vulnerable, the young women, the rural women, the less educated women, as it happens in many other areas of, criminal law.
The Constitutional Court agreed. In 2022, Colombia legalized abortion up to 24 weeks of pregnancy. Across the region, more change is on the horizon. Some countries are linking abortion access to democracy, like Chile, where the new leadership wants to enshrine abortion rights in the new constitution. But as the US moves in the opposite direction, human rights experts worry the rolling back of protections could weaken rights around the world. So, advice from Latin America is not to see Roe as an end, but as a start of a new fight, one that activists south of the border will be there to support.
You can get, what I was saying in English, paralyzed because you don't have legal abortion. So you don't have to be paralyzed, but you are still working.
For us in Argentina, the international support was very important. What do you need? We will be here to support your struggle and support you.